Greetings, YouTube. So we are headed into fall here in North Texas. Farmer Ross with Misty Moon Farms, and I'm going to go over a little bit about the transition from season to season. Specifically, it is summer going into the fall. So I've been growing my Swiss chard here throughout the whole summer. I had it all shade cloth. That's a different video. But for most of my bays here, I've done occultation. So when I talk about weeding, one of the best weeding practices is to basically cover your beds with a heavy, light, non-light letting through material. So in this case, we have a black tarp. I think it's 6 millimeter. You could use old carpet. You could use cardboard. If it's going to get wet, cardboard can be a bit, iffy because then it's going to break down, which could be okay because then you're going to be feeding your soil. But that's something you'd have to figure out for if it's right for your area. So the practice is called occultation, and I've gone over it in other videos, but you basically water the area really well, then you cover it up with your heavy material, and then you let it sit for a minimum of 4 weeks. That's going to allow all the weed seeds to germinate that are in the soil. They're going to start growing because it's warm, it's covered, and it's wet. That's going to say, hey, weed seeds, start growing. So then they're going to grow, but then they're going to get up and be like, there's no light here. So then they're going to die. And then that way, when you actually do take back the cover, plant whatever you're going to plant, your weed pressure is going to be a lot less. Every season you do this, it's eliminating weed seeds from your garden. So repeated, weeds become less and less and less. So that is what I'm doing. I'm removing all of the black plastic. You can see I have some big piles of it over here. And then so now what I'm doing is I've gone through and broad forked it. So I don't till, no dig, but I do broad fork. This is a Meadow Creature 16 inch, I think it's 12 inch tines. And so that's a whole other video. If you don't know what broad forking is, check that out. It's a great way to aerate your soil and get compaction broken up without killing all of your fungal fungal mycelium. So I did that, and then I did a little bit of raking on top too, just to open up the to kind of break free the top layer of soil. So just a light raking. And then now I'm watering it. I'm watering it really heavy for like 20 minutes with the rotary impactors. And what that's going to do, it's going to get everything super duper wet. So that way when I come through and I sprinkle my seeds, I don't have to water it for 20 minutes. If I have to water it for 20 minutes and get everything super wet after I've done the seeds, it's going to increase the chance those seeds aren't going to stay where I want them to. All that water is going to act like a mudslide, and the things are going to be moving and flooding, and that's not what I want. I want to keep my distribution of seeds the way that I sprinkle them. So I water it really heavy before I sprinkle in my seeds if I'm doing direct sowing, and then I'm going to come back and water it for another, maybe 5 minutes or something. And then after that, I'm going to be monitoring it. It's still pretty warm here in North Texas, probably getting up to 90 or so, but that's cool enough for these carrots and beets and kales to germinate. But I'm going to make sure that that top layer of soil stays wet. So probably 2 weeks or so. Carrots are a little bit longer, probably 3 weeks. I'm going to make sure that soil stays wet. So I'm going to have to water probably 2 to 3 times a day for about 5 minutes. Ideally, I'm only doing that as long as I need to. Then I'm going to switch to heavy watering, longer times in between. So when we're first germinating seeds, lots of times watering and less water. Once they get established, more water, more times in between. So I hope that makes sense. I think it's clear. But that's going to also help reduce your weed pressure. It's also going to send the roots of your plants down because they're looking for the water. If you're giving them water twice a day, they're not going to have a lot of reason to grow down and become very hardy. So we're challenging those plants so that they become hardier and stronger. So that's a little bit about what I am doing here to prepare for the fall season, and I'm excited. And I hope you learned something, and comment, let me know, reach out to me if you ever have any questions. Want me to make a video on something. I've been doing this for almost 10 years now, so I'm happy to share anything about profitable in-ground soil farming that I can. All right, blessings.